Okay, everybody. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. And I think tomorrow it's at is it 1 o'clock your time? Yes, 1 o'clock your time, 12 California time. All right. Okay, so let's just settle into a nice, comfortable seated posture. And as I'm just seeing if there's any Aussies here. No one from Australia tonight. So we're
Pardon
all.
me. Hello.
Oh, Jay, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. I think
I'm
I'm
like,
still
I was
here.
looking for you, and you're right in the middle of the screen now. Okay.
Okay.
So Jay's in the middle of her day. It must be around, was it midday there, Jay?
12:30.
12:30,
Spot
yeah.
on.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And Jay's in Adelaide time zone. So she's moving into her afternoon. The rest of us are thinking about going to bed. So this is a great practice to do just, the last thing before you go to bed. But for some of us here on the West Coast, it might not be that. And for Jay, it's not going to be that. But for the rest of you over there in East Coast land and Midwestern land and what's it, Central Time. And then there's another time as well where Chicago is. Anyway, you're already really more than ready for bed by now. So just reflect on your day, how it's been so far for Jay, for the rest of us, what we've been doing today, and how much of today have you engaged in actual virtue. And so I guess we could describe virtue as being non-harmful or not wasting your time. I mean, if the true Dharma practitioners would say, doing virtuous Dharma activities. It can also mean like volunteering, making offerings to people, giving somebody who's sitting on the street feeling cold a cup of coffee or some lunch or something. But what makes it really virtuous is if you remember to motivate and dedicate afterwards. Anyway, let's just reflect on your day and look how much of today was engaged in virtue of the sort of 8 hours or so that we've 12 hours or so that we've been awake. Myself, I've been packing, tidying, driving around in the car. I went to class. I mean, a lot of time on the freeway today. Not a lot of time, but at least over an hour driving altogether. So I don't know if you could call that maybe not virtuous, really. So anyway, just reflect on how we're spending our time. Because one of the things that's occurring to me as I'm trying to kind of make this tiny weeny space operate for me is, if I died tomorrow and somebody had to tidy up, me trying to settle into the space, it looks quite messy. I mean, the kitchen area is quite messy. The bathroom, nothing's completely set up. I'm still trying to find things. It it would be, it'd be hard for someone. So my aim is to make it easy for people if I suddenly drop dead, that they don't have a great big mess to clean up, which means I still have a lot of stuff to deal with. And it's been very interesting watching Judith, give all her things away in advance of her passing. She's kept a few things, but she's given a lot away. And she's delighted when she hears somebody's got this plant or that chair or this shawl. She's like, oh, I'm so happy. That makes me feel so happy. Anyway, where am I going? Here am I going? Here we are, practicing virtue and trying to get nicely comfortable. Just align yourselves. Imagine your spine is a string of pearls of light. And just relax from the crown of the head all the way down to your feet. And then just be aware of any sounds in your environment, particularly if you are living with other people, and even more so in a tiny space or in an apartment where there's probably likely to be other noise around as well from other people. If you can hear traffic, so just notice the, the distraction in the mind and how your conscious mind sort of wants to wander off and see what's going on. And then notice the thoughts that might be arising in the mind right now. And just allow them to arise and to abide. And then just to sort of float away without engaging with them, without trying to carry on the story. Just notice, be aware of the thoughts rather than diving in and having a conversation. And just be objective about what you're seeing. It doesn't matter. However you turn up this evening is completely fine. It's likely to change by tomorrow morning. And then bring to mind all the people of our life and think of our loved ones. These are people we have these very deep and profound relationships with, our strangers and the ones we don't like so much. And I mean, it just always fascinates me how nothing really stays the same, even though we want it to. In some cases, we don't want it to. Things change all the time. So do our relationships change. So that friend could become a stranger. The stranger could become a friend or an enemy. Enemy could become a loved one. It happens, and it may have happened to you already in your own life. And then all of these people, regardless of how we feel about them, they're all equal in their wish to be happy, their wish to be free from suffering and having this extraordinary capacity for Buddhahood. So think, we'll do this meditation this evening for all these people of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings. So think, we can start with this practice, the Vajrasattva purification practice, and just think there is no negativity that can't be purified. And just let that settle into your heart for a little moment. And this purification process is psychological, so, we can deal with it. We create negativity with our mind, so equally we can change that and create positivity instead. And this is, Lama Yeshe's main message is you do have the power to change your mind. We can't necessarily change our karma once it's in action, once it's in process. But there are things we can do to ameliorate, Rinpoche was all about pujas. But also the best thing is to kind of cut it off at the root, which is what we're doing here with this mantra. That's why we do 7. We do 28 each night. 28 is that kind of extra group of mantras to help prevent the weeds from regrowing, cutting the roots. So we start with the power of regret, this opponent power of regret. And so sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma, and we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions. And so having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. And we cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we ourselves will experience. And we know from our present suffering, we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? whom can I turn to? So here we come to the power of reliance. So we turn to the Buddha, who we see as a doctor, who has this medicine that we can use to purify ourselves. So we're not needing necessarily Vajrasattva to forgive us. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon his medicine, his methods. So imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is your teacher manifesting in this aspect for your benefit. And he's made radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. And he has a beautiful, radiant face. His eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two. And this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So in order to develop compassion, this is part of reliance, we need to rely upon other beings, so the very beings we have harmed and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of people you've harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginningless time. And then remember those who have harmed you and just have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you is going to result as suffering for them in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice for all these beings. So now we come to the power of the remedy. And this is the medicine, doing the practice of purification. And we start with the body. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you have ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita meboa sutokaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva ahum pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita meboa sutokaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahum pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita meboa sutokaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahum pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita meboa sutokaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahum pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita meboa sutokaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahum pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita dita meboa sutokaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahum pe. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shiam Karuhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva Ah Hum Pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of our speech. And Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So just imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking about others behind their backs. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Karuhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Guruhum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything but benefit others now with your speech, and that includes yourself. And next is the purification of our mind, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So it's the same as when you walk into a pitch black room and you flick on a switch, the light is instantly dispelled. The light instantly dispels the darkness. So the same here, the moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, so all your attachment, neediness, bitterness, grudges, anger, depression, anxiety, jealousies, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. So be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified. And now think that there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. And this time imagine that Vajrasattva sends light and nectar, fills you completely, and it eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta me boa sawa siddhi me piyatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe vajra sattva samaya manupalaya vajra sattva dina patita dina me boa sitokaya me boa sipokaya me boa anarakta me boa sawa siddhi me piyatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan Sawatata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya satra ahum pe. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita. Dida meboa sutukaya meboa sipokaya meboa. Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriyam kuruhum ha ho bhagavan. Sawatata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya satra ahum pe. And now feel you are completely purified. There's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. And now we come to the power of resolve. And this is the fourth and final step in the purification process. And this is a really crucial one, this determination to not harm with our body and our speech and our mind. So we're having this aspiration to not do the same old habits over and over again. We have this kind of habit energies, one of my teachers will talk about. And it's just kind of, we blurt things out, or we do things, we pick up a pen and don't put it back. Many things. So this is just all habit. Often sometimes it's so mindless, and yet we're creating negative karma. So we make a wish, an aspiration to not harm, and that's where it starts. And then you can get specific about what we want to do to not harm. How do we go about that? So we think of something that we've been working on. Again, first of all, rejoice. And then think, maybe it could be something as simple as biting your nails. Usually the harm we do is mostly done with our speech. Perhaps mostly. So just think about ways in which you could perhaps be more beneficial to others with your own speech. Perhaps sometimes silence is, if you don't know what to say, silence is often better. So think about something, give yourself a reasonable timeline. And imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wants to merge with your mind, and he melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So next, Rinpoche would recommend to meditate on emptiness. And he would say, think like this: in emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, just place your mind there for a little while. We can just think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. We can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy we've created doing this practice to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. And then think for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long, and for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche's unmistaken reincarnation. So it's been almost 12 months now, probably 12 months now. And then for your own precious teachers, strong wish that they all live long. All right, everybody, lots of love. I will see some of you tomorrow, I hope. And thank you so very much. Have a wonderful weekend for those who are not coming tomorrow. And I look forward to seeing you all on Monday. Okay.